Welcome back to the channel, guys. Let's get straight into today's story. Carillion wasn't just another company collapse, it was one of the biggest corporate disasters in modern British history. And it exposed exactly what happens when politicians, consultants and corporate executives all convince themselves that nothing can go wrong. Now, for years, Carillion was treated like a golden child of the outsourcing world. It was handed contract after contract: hospitals, schools, prisons, roadworks, rail projects, even military support services. Billions of pounds in public work entrusted to a single private giant. And yet, behind the glossy reports, the confident board meetings and the carefully crafted political speeches, the entire operation was already cracking. But the people in charge kept insisting everything was fine, right up until the moment it exploded. And ordinary workers, as always, were the ones left to pick up the pieces. Carillion didn't collapse overnight. This was a slow burn failure, one that showed warning signs years in advance. The business model was simple: win as many government contracts as possible, bid cheap, deliver later, hope it all somehow works out. On paper, it looked brilliant. Politicians loved it because outsourcing let them claim they were saving costs. Consultants loved it because the contracts were enormous. Executives loved it because success, real or imagined, meant bigger bonuses. But beneath the surface, Carillion was propped up on debt, risk, delayed payments and creative accounting. Projects fell behind schedule, cost spiraled, deadlines slipped. Yet rather than slowing down or stabilising, the company doubled down. More contracts, more borrowing, more pressure. And the political class went along with it. Because once a company becomes too big to fail, government becomes too scared to walk away from it. By the time things truly started to unravel, Carillion employed around 20,000 people in the UK and supported thousands of subcontractors and small businesses. And when it finally collapsed in 2018, there were people left stranded. Workers were suddenly left without jobs, apprenticeships vanished overnight, small firms who relied on Carillion weren't paid, and many of them went under too. Meanwhile, the senior executives who presided over the whole mess, they'd already taken the bonuses, they already cashed in the shares, they walked away from the wreckage while ordinary families carried the financial fallout. Now, this wasn't just incompetence, it was a culture of denial, arrogance and refusal to take responsibility. And it was allowed to continue because politicians kept feeding the machine. One of the most shocking elements of the Carillion story is how many warnings were ignored. Financial analysts raised concerns, internal reports showed risk, market signals flashed red, but the message from the top remained the same: keep expanding, keep winning contracts, keep pretending everything is fine. Government departments continued awarding multi-million pound projects even when the company was visibly struggling. Instead of asking, can this business realistically deliver, the question seemed to be, how do we keep this giant afloat for just a bit longer? In my opinion, it was short-term thinking, political convenience over financial reality, and public services paid the price. Hospitals faced chaos, school building work stalled, maintenance contracts disappeared mid-project. This wasn't some abstract corporate event, real communities were hit. Carillion also exposed a deeper problem in Britain's political and economic culture. Outsourcing had become a habit, not a strategy. Governments of all colours shifted more and more responsibility to private firms, not because they were always the best choice, but because outsourcing became the default option. Carillion was treated like a safety net for the state, a single company spread dangerously thin, holding together huge chunks of national infrastructure, and when it fell, the truth became unavoidable. You cannot hand essential public services to companies changed as endless growth, and then act surprised when everything collapses. Carillion wasn't just a failed business, it was a warning about complacency, blind trust and a lack of accountability at the very top. And here's what really frustrated people. After the collapse, ordinary workers were scrutinised, small contractors were forced to absorb losses, communities were told to adapt. But the executives, they gave evidence, they expressed regret, they acknowledged lessons, and then they quietly disappeared. Political leadership did the same thing, lots of speeches, lots of statements, lots of reviews. But the underlying system, the same culture of mega contracts, political risk dodging and corporate overreach still exists today. And for me, that's why this story matters. Because Carillion wasn't just a past failure, it remains a blueprint of what happens when power, money and political convenience all collide. Carillion stands as one of those moments where Britain was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. When no one is willing to say stop, when decision makers refuse to challenge the system, when warnings are brushed aside because the illusion of success is easier than reality. Eventually, something breaks, and when it does, it is never the wealthy executives, the consultants or the politicians who pay the real price. It is workers, it is small businesses, it is taxpayers, it is the public. Carillion's collapse wasn't just financial, it was moral, and its legacy is a reminder that trust, oversight and responsibility cannot be outsourced, not when the stakes are this high. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want more honest political commentary and don't want to miss what's really happening behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below.